Long, deadly and bleak is the history of lunatic asylums and their more contemporary successors, psychiatric institutions. When the facilities first started up, they were effectively mental health prisons, with empty cement cells, housing bills who were thought aberrant. In the 1800s, conditions deteriorated in many ways. Numerous prevalent treatments for people with mental health disorders frequently involved violence and were ignorant of science and medicine. Asylums were a living nightmare until they were closed down or given new purposes during the deinstitutionalization waves of the 1950s and 1960s. Numerous previous asylums have been abandoned since then, or ostensibly unoccupied, as these places frequently witnessed ghostly activity. It seems that centuries of brutality and torture left many ghosts in these facilities with unresolved business. If ghosts exist, abandoned asylums might be the greatest place to look for them. Here are 5 supposedly haunted asylums in the world. When it first established in Ararat, Victoria in 1867, the Ararat Lunatic Asylum, later called Airedale, was the single largest asylum in Australia. The facility wasn't completely shut down by the authorities until 1997. Over the course of its existence, it had accommodated tens of thousands of patients, including thousands of violent offenders, whose mental illnesses precluded their detention in conventional jails. Before it was transformed into a university, Ararat was routinely listed as one of Australia's most eerie locations. Ararat was thought to be home to many spectres imprisoned in afterlives of torment, in part due to the more than 13,000 patients that passed away within its walls. As a result, it has become one of the most liked ghost tour destinations in the nation. In its 150-year history, Taunton State Hospital in Taunton, Massachusetts, has housed thousands of patients with mental health issues. The most well-known of them was Honora Kelly, a nurse, also known as Jolly Jane. The goal of Jane, who admitted to committing 31 killings, was to have killed more helpless people than any man or woman who has ever lived. She supposedly still haunts what's left of the asylum since her work isn't done. The place is still the subject of several legends, one of which is that it was run by a satanic sect. The group allegedly performed sinister rituals in the hospital basement using patients as sacrifices. The majority of ghost experiences have also occurred in the basement, where visitors have reported seeing a dark figure creeping along the walls and keeping them from moving past the bottom step of the basement steps. From 1867 to 1995, the Beechworth Asylum in Beechworth, Victoria, Australia, also went by the name Mayday Lunatic Asylum. In those 128 years, more than 9,000 patients passed away inside its walls, some of whom are still alive. One phantom is supposedly a woman who was thrown from an upper-floor window only because she was Jewish, and the rabbi called to transport her to medical care couldn't get there in time to prevent her from dying slowly on Beechworth's lawn. James, a little boy, is another who converses with the kids who come to visit. Alongside them are a cast of ghosts, each with a sad or unsettling past, including ghost physicians, nurses, patients, and others. In Athens, Ohio, the Athens Lunatic Asylum opened its doors in 1874, housing both mentally ill people and criminally insane people. The facility immediately developed problems with overcrowding, inadequate funding, and patient mistreatment. The personnel frequently performed ice pick lobotomies, which is the worst practice of all. Other harsh procedures like electroshock therapy were also widespread. Thousands of unidentified patients are interred in graves all around the facility's grounds. The graves are marked with numbers rather than names, although the numerical system those numbers once represented has since been lost. When visiting graveyards, it's practically hard to avoid seeing ghosts. A dead patient's silhouette is allegedly still visible within and is resistant to repeated washing. Originally a school, Waverly Hills Sanatorium was later transformed into a tuberculosis unit with space for 40 patients. The clinic grew to accommodate more than 400 patients following a devastating tuberculosis epidemic. Patients were mistreated, there was congestion, and there were even accusations of illicit medical experimentation. It is frequently asserted that shockingly between 20,000 and 63,000 patients passed away inside its boundaries. The so-called body chute or death tunnel, an underground tube intended to take dead bodies away from patients' eyes, is arguably Waverly's most well-known feature. In reality, the entire complex is a common center for paranormal activity, not just the tunnel. With good cause, Waverly has been dubbed the most spiritually engaged place in the world.